So this is part two of this particular live. I'm having to do it from my phone. Don't ask. I'm just trying to patch this together to make this work. I want to continue to try to be consistently making content. I want to make sure that I shout out to my brothers that came on and supported previously on show number one. Thank you so much for coming in and showing support. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Now, back to what I was getting to as far as paying Najee Harris. When you're actually making uh, uncommonly consistent effort, because there are very few backs that are actually being able to contribute the way that Najee actually has. And yes, Najee has been high on the carries and the workload, especially his rookie season. And yes, you should be able to get numbers like that. But for him to consistently be available, first and foremost, to provide those types of numbers, especially behind a subpar offensive line, it should say a lot. I think that that's not being looked at as closely as it should. You're producing in spite of and not because of. That actually has to be factored in. I just can't say enough about that particular type of situation and him being able to be productive despite that. Um, Now, just wrapping up the point of just making sure that Najee actually gets paid. Um, Even someone as great as Saquon Barkley, who deservingly got his money from the New York Giants, okay, he pretty much carried that team. And it is tragic that they went ahead and paid my boy sarcastically, Danny Dimes, all that money, and they tried to give Saquon, a low ball deal initially. They were able to give him a respectable amount of money so he could stay. I think that was because of the threat of him going to the Philadelphia Eagles, which of course was a divisional rival. So they had to act, to be quite honest with you. So I guess shout outs to the New York Giants for doing what they're supposed to, I guess. Um, Now, what I will also just mention to just kind of wrap this up is this. Even Saquon Barkley was not able to put together the type of numbers his first three seasons that Najee was able to do. Now, not to his fault. Barkley had some detrimental injuries, and that probably prevented him from being able to do that. But at the same time, Najee still put up consistent numbers. Pay the man, okay? And I'll re-emphasize that again. Pay the man before you F around and find out too late that, hey, Jalen Warren wasn't the end all be all answer, and you need somebody to come in there and complement him in his running style. You know, our Steelers do have tendency to let guys go early before it's too late, which is served well most of the time. Okay, but I really do think that, especially in today's NFL, where the running game is sorely underestimated, and you have a run first system, you need a guy like Najee to stay in there as long as possible. And he's shown you that he's been available to play um, the majority of the season. So I think that it was a no brainer to just go ahead and try to get this man paid. That way, your offense can flourish the way that it needs to. But, as a fan of the organization, sometimes you have to find things out. Okay. This is not sitting well with Najee, and I have a very bad feeling that we will literally be paying for it one way or the other. Okay, so moving on to a different subject besides my Pittsburgh Steelers. There was a fight last night. Unfortunately, I missed it because I was working overnight. Um, George Kambosos versus Vasil Lomachenko. Now, from what I was able to view from the fight, Lomachenko just seemed to be just a bead faster, and he also was just he was also very sharp as far as his body attack, which was systematic, and then eventually it was so systematic and so well calculated and planned. I cannot believe I'm saying this. That it eventually wore down the feisty George Kambosos, and it caused him to it caused him to just basically exit the fight. Now, excuse me. I will say that Lomachenko's performance was very impressive. Again, as I was stating, he just seemed to be just a beat faster than Cambosos, who did, to his credit, put up a spirited effort, but it was just kind of like a guy that was just half a beat slower. And in the sports world, it's a huge difference because if you're able to get your shots off faster than the other guy, so if you're basically just tapping him and then he can only do that, then in response to what you're doing, then there's a huge degree of separation, especially in professional sports. Um, and unfortunately, Lomachenko had shown that last night to one George Kambosos Jr. Now, uh, and and even though at one point in time I did have malice in my heart for George Kambosos because he seemed to have turned heel, if you will, and I just thought that that was unsavory, and he presented himself as an honorable man initially, and then he turned heel, and I guess that was quote unquote to try to sell the fight or whatever, but I think it worked a little too well at the time for me. And I think that he was one of the very few boxers that I was saying I wish he would get hurt badly. But I've since then have did a self examination and made sure that I would not get that emotionally attached about a fighter, good or bad. Okay, to where you wish that they would somehow get injured on the job. Like, that's I don't care how much you dislike a guy um, or woman, because female boxing is very prevalent nowadays, especially. Regardless of how much you dislike a fighter, like Colby Covington. Unfortunately, he wears a MAGA hat. Seems pretty racist. But I would eventually hope that whoever he fights is a person of color and they defeat him soundly. But I don't wish Colby Covington to be paralyzed or even worse um, in the course of trying to do his job. So, a little bit of self examination there. And I know that fan is short for fanatic, but, sometimes people, especially on like these, especially like on these social media spaces where they think they're safe, talking either behind a camera like I'm doing or just typing um, whatever you want, and you feel like there's no accountability. There is. You never know when you actually have to come across these people. And for me, if I'm saying something on a public space like this, it's no different from getting out in the street, grabbing one of those megaphones, and then just kind of announcing things out loud. Like, someone eventually is going to hold you accountable for the things that you've actually said. And if you're not willing to back up those things that you said, or if you're not willing to stand on what you said, please just don't say it. Um, that is a very gentle message to, trolls or anybody like that kind of come in people's spaces and try to say negative things just to kind of get a rise out of that particular person. You never know what's going on with anyone. Um, and to just try to bully or tease or, just try to make someone upset, you never know how that actually motivates them. And then by the time that you have to be held accountable for it, it is too late. If someone actually just, if you're trolling someone and they actually show up at your door, um, it is too late. Yes, you can call the cops and you can try to get them up out of there. But honestly, if they found out where you actually are, then there's no doubt that they'll actually find out where you go on a day to day basis. So, again, please be leery of what you're actually saying over the internet. You never know how that could affect a person. And you never know what that particular person is actually capable of either. Um, so, yeah, please just be careful with that. And then, having said that to Mr. George Kambosos, you fought valiantly. Um, I I truly do hope that you try and bounce back. You get an opponent that you can get comfortable with and build back with, and then just kind of start from there and see what you want to do after that. And to be quite honest with you, you've only lost to the highest competition, which I mean, at the very worst, would make you a quote unquote gatekeeper. But I think that in the right circumstances, you can become champion again. So to Mr. Cambosis, please keep that in mind. Um, I don't think that you should have to call it a career or anything else like that. But you know, I'm not living inside of you, and I don't know what's actually going on internally. But I think that you still probably would have a shot at being a champion once again under the right circumstances. To Vasil Lomachenko, congratulations on your victory and congratulations on being a champion again. I have a very close have a very close associate of mine that is a very big fan of yours, like literally a big, because he's a big man. He's a big fan of yours. As a matter of fact, I have on his attire from a show he used to host. And if you ever are curious, Black Fight Fan, which you can Google or look up on YouTube, is an avid supporter of one Mr. Vasil Lomachenko. So there you go, Loma. You can't say they never did anything for you. Um, but I think that whom he should probably fight next is gonna be up in the air. To be quite honest with you, I think it would probably make more sense since they're under the same management label for him to just go ahead and fight Secure. Secure. Oh my goodness, Secure. Shakur. Oh my God, man. Shakur, I'm so sorry, brother. I apologize. My phonetics, excuse me, aren't right because something's going on with my throat. No excuses though, bro. I'm out here just messing up, and I apologize, Shakur. Now, I would look forward to seeing a fight like that. And to be quite honest with you, I would love to see if Shakur could beat him convincingly. The fight that he actually had with Devin Haney was very, very close and very controversial. Um, I myself believe that Haney may have won. It was by the closest of margins. Excuse me, but I think the body work early uh, pretty much did it for me. Now, yes, Vasil Lomachenko did some very great things. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Late in the round, but excuse me, late in the fight. But I think that ultimately Devin Haney stacked enough rounds in the bank for him to win. I think it was probably 7 rounds to 5, if I'm um, recalling it correctly at how I scored it. But nonetheless, again, congratulations to Vasil Lomachenko on a great performance against one George Kambosos Jr. I am just going to go ahead and get this live wrapped up. Thank you all so much for your support. I definitely appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you guys later on this week.